You know, sometimes a warning comes way, way too late. And this story, this isn't just about some haunted place. No, this is about the darkness an investigator found and the absolute horror that followed him all the way home. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into a truly chilling story from the Bloody Sacha channel. It's about the final case of a seasoned paranormal investigator, a case that would end up costing him, well, absolutely everything. So here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with a fateful call, go inside the house itself, witness the horrifying rooftop encounter, and then we'll see how a curse can follow you home and lead to the complete annihilation of a family. It all ends with a final, desperate warning. Every story like this has a beginning, right? This one starts with a man who, for all intents and purposes, believed he could understand the supernatural world, maybe even control it. Okay, so let's meet our guy, Udit Sharma. And listen, this was not some amateur. Udit was a renowned professional. We're talking expert-level paranormal investigator, numerologist, Vastu Shastra, you name it. People all across Uttar Pradesh sought him out. He was the one you called when things got weird and nobody else had answers. But here's the thing. Behind that expert facade, Udit was in deep, deep trouble. His business was failing. He had this massive loan just hanging over his head. So while his reputation was at an all-time high, his personal life was hitting rock bottom. And that made him vulnerable, dangerously vulnerable. And that's exactly when the call came. An old man from Shimla. He had a haunted ancestral home and was offering double Udit's usual fee. Now his assistants, who were also his cousins, they begged him not to go. It was too much money, the client seemed way too eager, it was just all red flags. But, you know, desperation makes you do things. He took the case. So Udit makes the trip to Shimla. He's hoping he can solve two problems at once. This haunting and his own money troubles. But from the second he steps onto that property, every single instinct he has is just screaming at him that something is deeply, fundamentally wrong. The weirdness was immediate. It was freezing cold right outside the house, colder than the rest of Shimla. But the second he stepped inside, it was suffocatingly hot, like an oven. No airflow at all, and yet the curtains were moving. And his EMF meter, the tool he uses to detect this stuff, it was going completely nuts, off the charts. That night, things get even stranger. Around midnight, there's a knock on his door. It's the old man. And he starts insisting, almost frantically, that this isn't a haunting at all. He's saying the problem is just faulty Vastu, the home's alignment, and he demands Udit inspect it right now in the middle of the night. It was so weird, so urgent, it put Udit completely on edge. So, despite the client acting super weird, Udit does his job. He sets up his cameras, his audio recorders, the whole shebang, and tries to get some rest. But, well, rest wasn't really on the agenda for that night. He's lying there, wide awake, in this heavy, oppressive silence. And then he hears it, a faint, rhythmic scratching. It's coming from upstairs, from the roof. And this is it. This is that moment where, fear or no fear, you have to go see what it is. He had to know. He creeps up the stairs, slowly pushes open the door to the roof, and he sees her. There's a woman just sitting there with her back to him. Her body is just contorted, locked in this rigid, unnatural pose. But the most horrifying part? Her neck. It's so completely broken that her head just hangs there, loose. And she's the one making the sound, just rhythmically scraping her fingernails against the stone ledge, over and over. Udit is just frozen. Pure, absolute terror. I mean, he's seen things in his line of work, but nothing like this. As he starts to back away, the scratching stops. And without even turning around, a voice just cuts through the night air. It says, "The problem isn't with the Vastu, it's with the people of this house." Udit slams the door and spends the rest of the night locked in his room, reciting every prayer he's ever learned, while his equipment goes wild, capturing all sorts of crazy activity. He knows now, this isn't just some spirit. This is an evil he cannot and should not fight. The second the sun comes up, he is out of there. He doesn't want the money, he doesn't want anything. He just throws his bags in the car, turns to the old man, and gives him this one last desperate warning. Abandon this house, abandon it forever, and then he runs. For about 2.5 months, things are quiet. too quiet. Udit is living in this constant state of anxiety, but he's hoping, praying that he escaped. He didn't. The evil followed him, and the very first sign comes from his own little girl. She tells him she keeps hearing noises on the roof at night, the sound of someone dancing and jumping around up there. What started with some strange sounds on a roof, well, it turned into an absolute nightmare. The entity from Shimla had come to collect a debt, and it did so with a brutal, systematic efficiency that is just terrifying to even think about. The speed of it all, it's just devastating. First, his daughter dies from a sudden raging fever that no doctor can explain. Just 15 days after that, his own father, who'd been telling everyone his granddaughter was calling to him from the roof, falls to his death from that same roof. The shock of it all gives his mother a fatal heart attack the very next day. A few weeks later, his wife dies from an extreme, untreatable case of typhoid. And then, finally, Udit himself is found dead in his room. An entire family just wiped out. And this is the detail that confirmed everything for Udit. Right before she died, his wife told him about a sound she kept hearing at night. It wasn't dancing anymore. It was the sound of someone on their roof, scratching their nails against the wall. The exact same sound he heard in Shimla. He knew right then, this wasn't a coincidence. It was a curse, and it had followed him home to destroy him. Before he died, Udit wrote everything down in his diary. The police found it, and it eventually made its way to his relatives. And his final words? They weren't just a record of what happened, they were a stark, desperate warning to anyone who would listen. So, what do we take away from this whole tragedy? Udit's story is this terrifying example of something you could call supernatural hubris. It's this fatal error, right? He was an expert, he was smart, but he made the mistake of believing his human knowledge could somehow challenge a force that was just fundamentally beyond our comprehension. This right here, this quote, is from his actual diary. It's the whole lesson of the story in one sentence. Knowledge ends at a certain point. After that, the power of evil forces begins. He realized, way too late, that there's a line, a boundary, where our understanding just stops, and something else, something terrible, takes over. Udit Sharma was a professional. He faced the unknown for a living, and it didn't just kill him, it destroyed everyone he loved. His tragic end really forces us to ask a deeply unsettling question, doesn't it? Are some forces in this world just better left completely and utterly undisturbed?